Hey guys, so we have started fractions, and I was getting some messages from some of you that were having trouble with identifying fractional parts. It is this page right here in our packet, and it is wanting you to find, they're word problems, but it wants you to find 2/3 of 50, and then you have to find 5/6 of whatever's left. So I wanted to show you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and work number 1 for you so that you have that as an example for when you go to do the rest of them. So number 1 says, Riley collects Band-Aids. She has a total of 50 in her collection. 2/5 of her Band-Aids are pink. Of the remaining Band-Aids, 5/6 of them are green. The rest are blue. How many blue Band-Aids does Riley have in her collection? So in order to work this one, first we have to find out how many pink Band-Aids there are. Okay, so it tells us on there that she has 2/5 of her Band-Aids are pink. So we are going to say 2/5 of 50. Okay, so this is what we want to solve. In order to solve this, we're going to take this number 2. This is our numerator. We're going to take the numerator and we're going to multiply it by the whole number that they give us. So we're going to say 50 times 2. Okay, 50 times 2, 5 times 2 is 10. And I have 1 0 here that I need to add. So 50 times 2 is 100. But I'm not done. So now I'm going to take this number 100 and I'm going to divide it by the number 5. This is your denominator. Okay? So I'm going to take 100 and I'm going to divide that by 5. Okay? I know this is backwards for you, but you can still kind of see it. Okay, so 5 goes into 10 twice. 5 times 2 is 10. Bring down my 0. After I bring down, I can't stop right there. I have to keep going. So 5 goes into 0, 0 times. 5 times 0 is 0. So this number right here, I have my answer. So I was looking for pink Band-Aids, so I have 20 pink. Okay? So we've got that number. Then it says, of the remaining Band-Aids, 5/6 of them are green. Okay? So now we need to find out the 5/6 part. Now, we know that there are 20 in there that are pink. So we need to take 20 away from 50. So if we have 50, I'm going to do it, I'll do it over here. 50 minus 20, I just did it right there. 50 minus 20 is 30. So what we are actually finding now is 5/6 of 30. Okay, so we're to a new segment, new part of the problem. 5/6 of 30. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing I did up here. So here is my numerator, the 5, and I'm going to multiply that by 30. Okay, 5 times 3 is 15, and I have a 0 left. So I get 150. Now I'm going to take this 150 and I'm going to divide it by the 6, which is my denominator. You can remember denominator, divide. Okay, so we're going to take 150 and divide it by 6. Okay, 6 can't go into 1, but it can go into 15. 6 goes into 15 how many times? 2 times. 6 times 2 is 12. Subtract that out. 5 minus 2 is 3. bring down my 0. 6 goes into 30 5 times. 6 times 5 is 30. Subtract that out, we get 0. So now I have 25, and that was for my green. Okay? So now I know that there are 25 green Band-Aids. So now it's asking, how many blue Band-Aids does Riley have in her collection? Okay? So I can do this by taking this 25 and adding it to the pink, because I know those two aren't blue. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to take 20 plus 25. 2 plus 2 is 4. 5 plus 0 is 5. So I have 45. And now I know that she has 45 Band-Aids that are not blue. So if I take 50 and subtract 45, I'm going to get how many Band-Aids she has that are blue. Okay, so we can't take 5 away from 0, so we have to do some borrowing. 10 minus 5 is 5, and 4 minus 4 is 0. So she has 5 blue. So that right there is your answer. She has 5 blue Band-Aids. Okay, so on that page, on this page right here, the fractional parts, you are going to do the same thing that we did on here as on number 3. Okay, so then take a look at number 2. Number 2 says circle 2/3 of the stethoscopes, and they give you a picture of the stethoscopes. The easiest way for you to do this one is by using pictures. Pictures and fractions go hand in hand. It's so much easier. I don't know about you guys, but I am a visual learner, which means that I like to be able to see things, and it helps me if I can see it or see it as a picture rather than just a bunch of numbers and words. It helps me get it in my head and really understand what I'm trying to learn. Okay, so on this one, you're circling 2/3 of the stethoscope. So here's what I did. I made myself a box like this. Okay, and I drew a line in half. So now I have two sections, okay? 2 holes. We can say 2 holes, okay? And I want to find 2/3. So I'm going to take one of these holes and I'm going to break it up into 3 pieces. Okay, so I'm just going to draw my lines. So here's a section, there's a section. So now I have 1, 2, 3 parts. Okay. Now if you look on number 2, they have the picture of the stethoscope. So I'm going to count how many stethoscopes they have, and they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to go ahead and take this second hole, and I'm going to break it up into 8 pieces. Okay. Can't get my marker open now. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to break it up into 8 pieces. So I'm going to find the middle. Here's my middle. Here's the middle of that one. Middle of that one. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I can cut each one of those in half so that I have somewhat even boxes. Some of them are a little uneven, but that's okay. Okay, and it wants me to do 2/3. So now I'm going to take my marker or your pencil. I'm going to do this in different colors, see if that works. Okay, and I'm going to shade in 2/3. So right here I have 1, 2, 3. Whenever I see the fraction 2/3, then you can't see that. Never mind. Let me go back to the Sharpie. Whenever I have the fraction 2/3, the 3 is how many pieces there are, And the 3 is the denominator. It shows how many parts there are. And the 2 is the numerator, which is how many parts are shaded. Okay, so I'm going to shade 2. So I'm going to shade 1, 2. Okay, now that I've gotten this far, now I can count how many parts I have from 8 parts, if that makes sense. Okay, so I only count the parts that are in, I should stop closing this marker. Good grief. Hang on. There we go. So now I'm going to count how many parts. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we can go ahead and count this one, 6. So when you're doing this, you have about 6. This is 6 out of 8 parts. So on your paper, you can circle how many stethoscopes that is. So if we were looking at this as the picture, then this would be a stethoscope, this would be a stethoscope, this would be a stethoscope, this would be a stethoscope. All of these are stethoscopes. Okay, and then we have one more, or 2 more down there. So when we circle it, we would circle 6 of them, just like that. Okay? Alright, and then the last thing I want to cover. On the next page over, ordering fractions. This is another one that it's going to be a lot easier for you if you draw a picture. Okay? So I did the same thing as I did right here. I just drew my holes, and then, I drew my holes, and then I took the fractions and shaded them. So I had a hole that I broke down into 5 parts, and I shaded one of those. Okay, I had a hole that was broken down into 4 parts, and I shaded 3 of them. Okay, that's going to give you a good picture of what those kind of fractions would look like. When you get to Thursday and Friday's math, you'll be making fraction strips, and that's another good visual that you can use when doing your fractions. So I hope this helped. If you have any questions, you guys have my number. Text me, call me, FaceTime me, all of that good stuff. All right, keep up your great work. I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.